The agenda? No. Okay, agenda as. Now here for staff reports. Let me hit you.
Welcome, everybody. Jennifer Hamblin, our planning director, is out tonight. She is actually moving her daughter back to college. So we'd like to wish her and all the students that's going back to school and to college this week very well. I'd also like, on behalf of Jennifer and the planning department, to say our prayers goes out to the Glass Creek families and the injured firefighter. I am so very thankful for our first responders in this community, the outstanding job that they did, also to ensure no loss of life. It's just phenomenal in itself that there was no loss of life and that there were very minimal injuries. Also wanted to say that we are very thankful to live in such a loving community. There are so many people that have banded together to come out when there's a time of need. It's an overwhelming response of care and support. There are so many people willing to help. We do ask that you check the city's website if anybody is wanting to help. The Mount Juliet for Hope organization is just an outstanding group of individuals that are spearheading the donations. So we ask that you look at the city's website. We have a link to their website as well. But if you do have any questions, please reach out to the city. We would be happy to assist you in getting that information to them. And last but not least, our annual training session is on September 26th. We will be going to the water treatment plant at 3 o'clock. We're going to do a little offsite to start with. And then we will be coming back to Charlie Daniels Park and be having a speaker with MTAS on Robert's Rules of Order. We hope to get you all out of here by 7 o'clock. We'll be working on transportation for our commissioners to get over to the treatment plant, and I hope to have that information to y'all at the next meeting, which will be the Thursday before our meeting the following week. If you cannot attend for any reason, please let me know. We will find you alternate training for your required 4 annual hours. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Shane? Or Matt?
I'll give a quick little update on some of our capital transportation projects. The roundabout at Willoughby and South Green Hill is going well. They're about 2 months ahead of schedule right now, so they're moving pretty good on that. We'll be switching to our phase 3 traffic control plan in the next few weeks, so we'll be announcing what that plan looks like in the coming weeks. So the right turn lane on Lebanon Road at Golden Bear, it's going pretty well. We've had a lot of rain that's kind of delayed that a little bit, but that should be finishing up in the next couple weeks. Couple projects that are about to start construction is Lebanon Road Sidewalks Phase 2. That's sidewalks on both sides of Lebanon Road from Mount Juliet Road to Park Glen Drive. That should be starting in the next few weeks. Traffic signal at East Division and Golden Bear Jug Handle. That one, we've awarded a contract, so that one should be getting started very soon. And then in signal at Golden Bear and Volunteer Boulevard, we just got notice to proceed for construction today, so we'll be bidding that out very shortly. So that's all I have. Shane, do you have anything?
Talk about a couple of the sewer projects we've got going on. As y'all can tell from the Page Ranch, we've got a bunch of sewer pipes stacked up. Stone Creek Interceptor upgrade project. Although it can't be seen by our citizens every day, that project is humming along nicely. We're looking at maybe 6-figure savings on our Build a Metro monthly once that project's done, and we're already seeing the results of that project in effect. We're also going to be starting about October, November, rehabbing our metering station. And while it's just a nondescript building as you leave to enter Davidson County, that's the counter of all the wastewater flow that we get billed for going to Metro. And that building hasn't been touched in 40 years. So we're going to be rehabbing that, making it modern and state of the art. So looking forward to that project as well. And we're going to be awarding the design contract for quite possibly the biggest sewer project this town has ever seen, with the equalization basin that we're going to install right at the county line. We bought some property about 1.5 years ago with the efforts of Director Barlow and Kenny Martin. So we've got the land. We're going to cut loose our consultant on a year-long design project And hopefully we'll be prepared when we open up contract negotiations with Metro on our sewer in 2029. So the future will be here shortly, but we're trying to stay ahead of the curve. And with that, also just want to say one last thing. This gentleman to my right, him and his guys deserve a lot of credit last week, and nothing else can be said for what they have to do and what they do day in and day out for us and for this city. So if he's got any words, I want to defer to him because he deserves at least a minute of our attention tonight.
Please do.
So update on the firefighter that was injured. We went and saw him today. He's doing better. He's progressing. You know, he does have a long road ahead of him. But you know, he's strong-willed. He's very stubborn, which is going to be good for him because that'll help him heal a lot faster. You know, thanks to everybody for their prayers and support for not only Glass Creek residents, but for him and his family. It's something I would never want to go through or have my family go through, but you know, their troopers are strong and they've got a great support group within the fire department, the city, and the residents here. You know, everybody's supporting him. You know, it was unfortunate, but you know, the guys that were there that day fighting that fire did the job that like they were trained. They everything, you know, even though there was the injury, they did what they had to get him out, get him to the help that he needed, and then continued fighting the fire. So they deserve the utmost respect for what they did that day in the face of adversity. They took it on, and it was impressive to watch everybody come in together and work together as a team to, you know, unfortunately we did, you know, have a significant loss to that apartment complex, but in reality, what it could have been, those guys made it to where it didn't happen. You know, with the law enforcement, our guys getting people out of the residents out of that house was the first priority, which is always our priority is life safety. So my hat's off to the guys on the front line there. They deserve all the credit. As far as the fire goes, it's still under investigation. You know, we have an idea what probably started it, but I'm working with the TBI and ATF on it right now just to finalize a few things, and then we'll release the official cause and origin of the fire. On another note, positive notes, Chief Fultz started Monday. He's off and running. He's got some great ideas for not only the fire department, but for the city as well. He's going to do wonders for us. Everybody's excited to have him, and just his leadership that he brings for us is, I think, going to put us on the next high pedestal. And we're all excited for his support and guidance. And also tomorrow we start moving into Clemens Road. So we're pretty excited to get in there. We're itching. So we're going to start moving all the EMS supplies in there tomorrow, and next week we should be operating out of there fully. That's all I got.
Good deal. I'm not going to repeat all those comments, but I'm just to expand on them. We go a great deal of thanks for all of our first responders, not just the people that responded that day, but you guys put it on the line every day, and we appreciate it immensely. This time, I'll move on to the next item. We'll take some citizen comments. Public is welcome and encouraged to make public comment about any item on the agenda. There'll be 2 opportunities for comments. You can speak now or speak when an item is presented to the Planning Commission, and we ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone that wishes to address the Planning Commission is asked to come forward at this time. But I will mention one thing. If you're here for the Rolling Ridge item, that has been deferred and will not be heard tonight. Seeing no comments, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is our minutes. We'll now approve the minutes from the July 20th, 2023 Mount Juliet Planning Commission meeting. Are there any adjustments to the minutes? Motion to approve. Second. All in favor, raise your hand. Say aye. Opposed? Abstain? Pass. Moving on. Next, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Items 3.1, review the final plat for Houston's Meat and Produce located 3910 North Mount Juliet Road. Review the rezone request for Houston's Meat and Produce located at 3910 North Mount Juliet Road. Review the final master development plan for Traymore located at Bender's Ferry Road. Review the preliminary plat for Traymore located on Bender's Ferry Road. Item 3.5, review the final plat for Maple Crossing Phase 1 located on Golden Bear Gateway. Item 3.6, review the final plat for Maple Crossing Phase 2 located on Golden Bear Gateway. Item 3.7, review the site plan for Tomlinson Point Amenity Center located at 2844 Curd Road. Item 3.8, review the final plat for Reserve at Wright Farm Phase 3 located on Carisbrook Drive. And item 3.9, review the final master development plan, site plan for the Preston located on Providence Parkway. At this time, we'll hear any citizens comment on any item on the consent agenda. Okay. Seeing no comments, any comments from staff?
Staff recommends approval.
You turn me on, there you go.
Staff recommends approval or recommendation based on the item of all consent agenda items with the conditions as listed in your staff reports.
Okay, any comments? Whoops.
Public Works Engineering recommends approval for all items, but we would like to revise a comment for 3.9, the Preston. Prior to the meeting, I handed out our comments. There was some terminology that was agreed upon by Director White and Mike Murphy, the developer of Preston, and we would like to incorporate those comments into our final staff report and recommend for approval. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments from the commission? Scott?
Yeah, this is for staff. I just want, on item 3.3 and 3.9, did we have any changes, modifications to the conditions that the BOC placed on both of these during the preliminary?
No, sir.
No changes or modifications? Okay. From planning?
No, sir. They
Okay.
meet all the conditions of the.
Did they have, were there any changes made or modifications from the conditions set?
The only thing that I have seen on the Traymore, which would have been the 3.4, the community garden has been removed. And then what was the other item you? I don't see any other changes that I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah, because we've seen this in the past where the BOC reads and votes on the preliminary master development plan, but the final master development plan doesn't make it to the BOC. So that's why I'm asking the question. Sometimes things get changed through that process. I just wanted to make sure that there were no changes specifically to the conditions that were placed on the PUDs during the BOC voting.
Our first comment reflects that all previously approved PUD conditions apply to the FMDP as well.
Okay, perfect. I'm good. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right, this time we'll close the planning commission meeting and open a public hearing for items 3.1, review the final plat for Houston's Meat and Produce located at 3910 North Mount Juliet Road. Item 3.5, review the final plat for Maple Crossing Phase 1 located at Golden Bear Parkway. Item 3.6, review the final plat for Maple Crossing Phase 2 located at Golden Bear Parkway. And item 3.8, review the final plat for Reserve at Wright Farm Phase 3 located on Carisbrook Drive. Are there any citizens' comments at this time? Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing and reopen the planning commission meeting. Do I hear a motion on approval of consent agenda items? Motion? A second? All those in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye. Opposed? Abstained? Pass. Okay. We're now here, our next item, which is item 4.1, review the site plan for Express Oil located at 11090 Lebanon Road. Do we have representation from the applicant? Name and address for the record, please.
Ashley Bernatsky, 162 Linwood Road, Starrett, Alabama, 35147.
Thank you. Want to introduce us to the project and tell us what it's about?
Yes, we are Express Oil Change. We do 10-minute or less oil changes. We are based out of Birmingham, Alabama. We actually won a JD Power Award yesterday for being the best oil change in America. So we're very proud of that. Here today over the staff comments on the Planning Commission. Wanted to address a few things with you guys. I do have your notes. Do we want to just start there and start from landscaping and go on?
Yep.
All right. We do not have any issues complying with landscaping codes. As far as planning and zoning, I did bring you guys some renderings and elevations and true photos of real colors so that you could have a better visual of what we're actually building and what we're doing. Even have some material samples if you would like to see those.
Okay.
I have a rendering without the painted brick. If you absolutely want to allow us to paint the top stripe of the brick, we can remove that. We do still have our downspout shown as blue in the rendering as well. For the brick, we are proposing a half-high masonry on the brick, but it looks just like it, and I brought that sample with me.
Okay.
I noticed that you guys had allowed Lowe's and a couple other places to use that. It's going to look exactly like brick when we're finished.
Okay.
Even the photometric photo I brought with me, you'll be able to see what it looks like. Stone, I have the stone with me as well so that you guys can look at that. Have no issues with the equipment and meters matching the masonry. No issues with landscaping. We will not have any displays of tires out front. We don't do that. We like to consider ourselves what you would be a boutique of oil changes, if you will. No issues with the sidewalk. When it comes to public works, that's 6 inches wider than what we typically do. Also, there was a comment about the floor drains. We will have an oil water separator that is installed as well. Our main issue is our blue roof because it is part of our marketing. It's part of our marketing package. When I met with the planning commissioner, she highly encouraged me to go buy tire discounters, and they have a red roof. And that's part of their marketing package as well. So it's not distasteful. We build a beautiful building. We keep it clean. We don't do anything out of that ordinary, but it is just part of our marketing. So that's reflected in more of a true color as well in the photo that I brought. And I did bring a sample of that.
Okay. 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. Could let me just see the rendering real quick because that's going to probably generate some more comments.
I brought enough. There's 4. So I'll do one per side. Do you just want one or do you want to pass it around?
Sure.
And then this is 2 colors. in the photo. You guys can take one and pass it. Would you like to pass them down? You guys can keep these.
We're probably going to look at that one. Okay, thank you. We might call you back up for some staff for some questions from the commission as well, but I want to go to staff first.
Okay.
Joe?
Just to give y'all a little update on this, this project is going to be built on Lebanon Road. It is west of Wilson Utility District and east of the currently under construction Fast Pace Health. The zoning is commercial general. The surrounding zoning is commercial general as well. So there's no zoning change or land use amendment being required with this. The parcel is approximately 1.2 acres. It is more narrow in width, so therefore they are stacking the buildings. In doing so, the oil change center, it's approximately 2,177 square feet, will be on the north portion of the lot. And the tire service center at approximately 3,290 square feet will be on the south side of the lot. Their drive aisle will be located to the west. It is 26 feet in width and does meet code. Their parking will be behind the building and between the two buildings. They have a minimum of 11 spaces required, and they are submitting the plan with 22. The parking widths are under code as well. They also have a bike rack with the 5 spaces. There is vehicular and pedestrian access via Lebanon Road and also internal to the lot. In response to the mentioning of the blue, the marketing and so forth, under the commercial design regulations, both buildings have the same basic design with the stone water tables and brick above with the blue metal roofs. Both buildings are within the height requirements. The HVAC that is proposed for the northerly building is going to be ground mounted and screened. The elevations that do include the stone and brick panels essentially are quick brick. This is not allowed. All of the bricks shall be clay baked and individually laid. As we said, both buildings do have quite a bit of the blue on them that not only includes the roof, it also includes blue painted brick and downspouts, which emphasize the blue appearance of these buildings. Staff has requested as part of their staff reports the removal of the blue paint from the brick and stone facades, as well as the roofing and the downspouts. We have requested that they paint the downspouts to match the brick that is not painted blue. Most of the comments from our prior staff reviews have been met by this applicant, but staff is requesting for the blue items on the elevations to be removed, and they are subject to Planning Commission approval under 6-103.7.2, whereby color schemes that are deemed unpleasant, distasteful, or objectionable, as determined by the PC, will be sufficient reason for a negative vote. Staff does recommend approval of this site plan subject to the conditions as provided on your staff report.
Yeah, thank you. Shane?
We have no additional comments other than our recommendations in our staff report. This site will be sharing a driveway with the adjacent property that's under construction right now, Fast Pace Health. And after a traffic screening analysis, no traffic study was required for this project. But we have no additional comments.
Okay. All right, this time we'll hear for any citizens' comments on this item. If you have any comments, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Ray Justice, 251 Spring Hill Road, Mount Juliet. I'm the commissioner for District 1. About 2 years ago, I came in front of this planning commission and we talked at the board of commissioners about if we didn't do something about some of the zoning issues that we've got, we continue to get auto parts places. And I made that comment then. Since then, I think we've got 2 more car washes and maybe 2 more oil change places that are coming in. This will be the 3rd one. I'm wondering how many we're going to be able to get into one district. I mean, right now, anybody who wants to come from Middle Tennessee, Murfreesboro, they need to come to my district now to buy all their auto parts stuff because that's the location now, evidently. Nothing has been done. Doing everything in our power to make my district better than what it is. To put a oil change bouncy house in my district, to me, is obscene. To allow those colors to go in there is obscene. And I would ask that that not be allowed. I would also ask that for planning purposes, I want to make sure, it may be on the plan, I want to make sure that there is a road, a drive that comes to the back of that is potentially going to be attached to the Waterburger site. You can answer if it's on there. I haven't seen that plan.
It is.
It
It
is?
is.
Okay. I want to make sure that that's on there. So we've got some connectivity that goes somewhere other than Lebanon Road. I'm going to ask if you would hold your feet to the fire, please. We're going to stick another oil change place in my district. Would you please at least make it look decent? I would really appreciate your help on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Okay, comments from the planning commission. Scott? Well, let me get you. There you go.
And somebody else wants to go first. The worst turn, the most dangerous turn in Mount Juliet is a left-hand turn. If anybody's driven around our streets for any amount of time, you'll know you're taking your life literally in the palm of your hands when you make that left turn. I'm not overly excited about the left-hand turn coming out of this project onto Lebanon Road. That's my first comment. So if that can be, I know Shane, you've looked at this. I don't know if you support that or not. I know your predecessor or Matt. So I'd like to see if we can restrict that to a right turn only.
The driveway is on Fast Pace Health. This site does not have its own individual driveway.
It does not, so it's existing.
Approved with that full access driveway.
Okay.
They're just coming off that. So they're not adding an additional driveway to.
Okay, so my apologies on the plans. It didn't show that, but so the other, really the other big issue I have with this, I don't know if anybody's got their tires changed recently at Discount Tire or Tire Discount or any of them. The parking is atrocious. Sometimes I have to park over in restaurants while I wait to get my tires changed. I see 10 parking spots down at the bottom towards the tire changing place. How long does it typically take to change 4 tires? 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour? Sometimes all day. So I'm not sure. You're not even close to the amount of parking. I know what our regulations state, but the reality is there's not enough parking to accommodate a tire store. Now I get the oil change. Those are coming in, they're getting their oil change and they're moving out. They're not parking. But 21, even if you include the ones towards Lebanon Road, it's just not enough parking to accommodate a 5-bay tire changing shop. It's just not. Those cars are going to be stacked up. They're going to be parking at Whataburger. They're going to be parking everywhere else. But there. So those are my 2 comments. I'd like to see additional parking added, and we can't do anything about the left-hand turn lane, but those are my big, and I do agree with Commissioner Justice. We can do something about the colors, although I am a fan of red, white, and blue, not when it comes to buildings in the city of Mount Juliet. So anyways, those are my comments.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Anyone else? I'll just, I'll agree with you, Scott, for sure. There's the parking there, according to code, there's enough spots. They're just not in the right place. They need to be down where the tire store is. Like oil's in and out, and I think I have to agree with you too. We open the door to all kinds of colors in the city, and we're going to have a city full of colors, and in time those colors fade and start to not look so nice. First day they look pretty, but 1 year down the road when things start to fade, they don't look as nice. Where is that lady at? Yeah. Go ahead.
Commissioner Hefner, if you'd like to make that a condition about the additional parking or the shifting of the parking staff would be happy to work with the applicant after the fact and to adjust it accordingly. Yes, sir.
Make it as an amendment.
Yes, sir.
Sure. Or make it
Just as a condition. Yes, sir.
yeah, I would like to add a condition.
Oops, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd like to add the condition that a combination of both adding additional parking spaces and reconfiguring the parking on this site based on recommendations by staff.
Okay. Would the applicant like to come back up and address some of these questions and comments?
As far as the stacking, I would like to address that. We only do about 2 cars per hour. So even if you're stacking, we've dimensioned it out that we're never going to be in the street. We're never going to be stacking back into Lebanon. We only see about 40 cars a day. And the bulk of ours is oil change, not tires. We do oil changes. We offer tires. But that is not the bulk of our business. So our goal is to move them in and out within 12 minutes. And we do that. So for that reason alone, I don't think that we'll have a stacking issue or parking. And the vehicles that we do keep overnight, we pull into the bays, lock them, so there's nothing unsightly in the front of the building overnight to protect people's cars, their valuables, it's their personal property. We can take a look at the plan, see if there's a way that we can adjust it. But we do build it on a pit, and we base that off of our geological information, everything else. But typically, we don't have an issue with parking. We're not doing tires. We're doing oil changes mostly. We have the ability to, but that's not our main focus. As far as the colors, I'll be willing to change the downspouts, take the blue banding off if I can have my roof. It is a marketing thing. KFC got their roof. Mr. Car Wash got their roof. Tire Discounters got their roof. And that is part of their marketing.
Okay. Appreciate your comments. If it's not your focus, then remove it. The fact that you have a tire changing location, people will show up. Whether it's your primary business focus or not is irrelevant. It's moot because you're offering tire changing services. So people will go there to get their tire changed. So the fact that it's not your primary focus is immaterial. It's a moot point. So again, my condition is increase the parking spaces.
Okay.
And redesign your site plan.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave it up to staff to work with you on that.
Okay.
And that's a condition.
Okay.
Condition about the roof as well.
And yes, the roof.
So you're saying other companies can have their marketing, but we can't?
Yes.
You are?
Yeah, I was just going to let you know, those roofs were put in place prior to the change of the commercial design standards,
Okay.
which now is, as I spoke earlier, references 6-103.7. You're welcome
Okay.
to look at. So that is a planning commission decision there on how they
Okay.
feel about those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion with the planning commission? Okay, do I hear a motion on this item?
I have a question before we have a motion.
What-
Other than what you've talked about, the roof and the color, they meet all the other standards?
you.
Yes, sir, they do.
This is here, approve or deny at this level.
You can defer it, come back to the next meeting.
It's not our choice.
I'm going to extend an olive branch here. Defer it. My recommendation is defer this for one meeting. Come back. Let's take a look at your changes and vote on it because
Just have her come up and just,
you have to come up.
Yeah.
That statement. Yeah, you have to
could
come
you
up.
come
and-
up again, please? Just gotta have it on record that you're choosing
Yes,
to
we can
defer for a
discuss it
month.
next meeting,
Okay,
and I will have a new concept plan by then.
okay. All right, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay. Turn all the microphones off. Got everybody on. Okay. Okay, now here the next item, which is 5.1, review the preliminary master development plan unit development for downtown Mount Juliet City Block located on North Mount Juliet Road. This is a positive or negative recommendation to the Board of Commissioners. You want to start off? Okay.
So most of you, probably all of you aren't aware of this, so I'm just going to be in complete transparency. I have made a request yesterday. I've been traveling for the last week and a half and made a request to pull my parcel out of this project. After learning that two of the elected officials expressed to the owner of this property that they were going to vote against it because of my name is on the application. My parcel is not part of the development, but it was being considered for a phase 3. And I did not want to sell my house. Don't want to sell my house. I just bought it 3-4 months ago. I spent $60,000 the last 3 months remodeling my house. It was a 1970s house, and it looked like 1970s when I bought it. So I've spent a great deal of time remodeling it. It was a house that it's a 1-level farmhouse. It was half an acre. It's non-HOA, which is a unicorn. Being a city commissioner, I have to live in my district. This house came on the market, and I put a contract on it, and we vacated or moved out of a $3,000 apartment a month, $3,000 a month apartment that I was living in. So I requested, after hearing what was said to the owners, I immediately pulled out. This project, the city stands to gain a great deal of value in lower construction costs, near cost, to build a potentially new city hall administration building and a new fire station. That's going to save the citizens, taxpayers of this city, hundreds, if not millions of dollars. And I don't want to be the one that, because of my name is on the application, that's going to kill this deal. So I am pulling out. And because now my property is outside of this PUD, but sits next to this development, I've been made aware by our attorney that it would be in the best interest that I also recuse myself. So being in the PUD, I'm recusing myself. By law, I have to. Being out of the PUD, I am going to recuse myself. First and foremost, it's a good project. Ultimately, I'm not sure how I would have voted on it because there's still 2 BOC readings that it has to go through. So ultimately, I may have voted for it. Ultimately, I may not have. There's still quite a bit to be seen. So, but I'm not going to do anything to stand in the way or jeopardize this project just purely because of my involvement. And for that, I'm recusing myself. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to the county fair. So if the line's not too long to get in there. So I appreciate everybody's time and hearing me. And if there's any questions, please feel free to call me. My phone number is public. So with all due respect, I'm going to get up and leave.
Thank you, Scott. Let's open this up to staff comments. Jill?
As Commissioner Hefner stated, staff was contacted late yesterday regarding some possible changes to this plan. Once I'm done with my staff report, I will, at the request and would like to, at the permission of Chairman Rast, allow the applicant to speak to the changes. But my staff report is going to entail what we had submitted originally up until the changes were requested as of yesterday. This is submitted by Imagine One with Matt Gardner. This is in District 3. It's a preliminary master development plan and a rezone for the downtown Mount Juliet mixed-use PUD. This is an urban-style mixed-use development. It encompasses 12 parcels in the area of North Mount Juliet Road. Will sit between East Hill and East Caldwell Streets. The current and proposed land use is neighborhood commercial, so there is no need in changing the land use because it is also neighborhood commercial. The zoning is currently commercial town center and RS40, which is single family residential. The requested change in the zoning is commercial town center PUD. The entire development is going to encompass, as submitted, at 8.46 acres and has a proposed use including administrative, commercial, and residential, and will proceed to have 8 structures. It includes not only a grocery store, retail, office, restaurants, townhome, apartments, and a city hall, as noted by Commissioner Hefner. Gasoline sales are not permitted within this district, so that is to be noted. As submitted, the plan shows residential density of 260 units, which is 31 units per acre. The commercial portion is 199 plus thousand square feet, which incorporates 54% of the overall site. The commercial and the mixed use buildings includes 91,000 plus square feet, which accounts for 29% of the site. This also encompasses a subgrade parking, parking structures, and surface parking. The project shows an estimated parking of 673. The city's standards require 815 spaces. However, a shared parking study was performed, and the required parking under this study for mixed use is 562 spaces, which shows the site is currently overparked by, as submitted, by 79 spaces. Staff does support this parking study with the limited spaces of 673. The plan proposed 20% amenities, which does meet code. It also includes a central plaza, shared plaza and green space, and residential amenities. The site data table lacks the building coverage and impervious surfaces, and we're asking that meet code upon the FMDP submittal. The complex proposal that has been presented to us, we typically don't see a lot of mixed-use developments. The zoning ordinance typically caters to the garden-style apartments, which this does not necessarily include. So that is why, in part, there is a lengthy number of variances and waivers that have been submitted with this plan. While there is a gross number of those requested waivers, the zoning ordinance does not necessarily address the more mixed-use developments that you're seeing here tonight. Staff has worked diligently with the applicant on this to get the plans where they are today. They've been very forthcoming and willing to work with us on that, and we do appreciate it. The plan is acceptable moving forward to the BOC with a recommendation for approval, subject to the conditions as listed in your staff report. And as noted, I would like to request the permission of Chairman Rast to allow the applicant to speak to the changes that were requested as of last night.
Certainly. Matt or Shane?
Couple of points I want to make as part of our comments. At this point of their design, infiltration on-site detention will be addressed at the FMDP stage when a stormwater report will be required as part of that submittal. So we're willing to punt on the waiver until FMDP. And my second notable comment is any residences as part of this development shall be served by gravity sewer, not grinder pump systems. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Director White for roadway transportation comments.
Yeah, the roadway and transportation comments are listed in item number 6 under Public Works and Engineering. There's a list of several roadway improvement conditions that we've placed on the development. They're pretty straightforward, so let me know if you have any questions regarding those comments. I'll just say it's probably the first time we've seen a project on land where we're actually sitting right now. So it's got to be a first, right? That's all I have.
Okay. Certainly want to hear from the applicant on this one. Put you on and name and address for the record.
Good evening. Matt Gardner, 4603 Skymont Drive, Nashville, 37215. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about this exciting project. We've been working closely with the Board of Commissioners for well over a year, including public working sessions both on July 22nd of 2022 and May 8th of this year to design a new city hall block. Over the time, the plan has evolved through many iterations, including pulling that northeastern parcel located at 75 East Hill Street and owned by Commissioner Hefner out of the PUD at his request yesterday. That change will eliminate the 15 townhouses programmed on that third phase of the project. We are extremely excited about the site plan as a whole and the opportunity for this block on which the core of Mount Juliet resides. Overall, the project takes advantage of the grade falling from East Hill Street to Caldwell. Like this building tucks into the hill, we plan on the majority of the site to be on roughly at grade on East Hill Street, and then the parking will come in from the Caldwell side, so that from the street you don't see all the parking that this project needs, because it'll functionally underground, even though it's at grade of where the city building is now. Excuse me. There will also be street parking as well as surface parking in the lot that is shown on the site plan. As you can see from the study prepared by the parking engineers and as mentioned by Ms. Johnson, we're attempting to ensure plenty of parking spaces with, there's 562 spaces needed at peak times on the weekdays. 519 spaces are needed during peak times on the weekends, and we're providing 673 spaces. That's a surplus of 19.8 and 29.7% respectively. Also to note, and I'll mention this again, City Hall is not part of that share. So the City Hall parking spaces are separate, dedicated for City Hall use at all times. The core of this project is that City Hall. It's marked as Building 4 on your site plan. This will be the first phase of the project and will be done while the existing city facilities, and such as this building that we're in now, remains fully operational. Once the larger changes that were made, one of the larger changes that was made during our mini evolutions was to scale back the size of that building during some of the initial public meetings that had been a 44,000 square foot building. With the city's purchase of the new public works facility, we were able to bring that size back down. So we are reflecting that in per BOC request in this new site plan. Again, we have not anticipated the city to share its parking spaces with the rest of the development. That allows the City Hall parcel and all of its parking to be fee simple owned by the city and be legally and fully separate from the rest of the development. On a practical standpoint, though, the average pedestrian walking through, there's not a fence, there's no barriers. It's fully integrated on a pedestrian standpoint. But from an operations, from maintenance, from landscaping, the City Hall piece will be separate and not have any obligations to the rest of the development as a whole. Once the new City Hall building is complete and all the staff moves into the new facility, Then we will move on to the second phase of the project. That consists of building 1, which will sit where we are right now. That's a grocery with some retail and office along with it, totaling up to 32,000 square feet. We've got in the middle of this block on North Mount Juliet Road, and we are showing a restaurant or potentially retail parcel at 6,500 square feet. On the southeast corner of North Mount Juliet Road and Caldwell, we're looking at a retail ground floor office building at about 28,000 square feet. On the north portion of North Mount Juliet Road and East Hill Street, where the parking lot and the city museum is, we're showing a retail restaurant parcel of 4,500 feet. That's building 7 on your site plan. And then building 5 is up to 245 multifamily units. So pulling off Commissioner Hefner's parcel, the total multifamily units does go down from 260 to 245. Reducing that density, also we are going from 8.46 acres to right at 8 acres exactly. So our residential density now goes to 30.625, whereas before it was just a little bit higher than that because there were so many units on that one parcel. So we actually went down on our density from the plan that you have in front of you. As a point of comparison, Vintage Station North, which we also developed, had 220 units on 6.95 acres. So that residential density was 31.65. So we're right at 1 unit per acre less than that project, just as a point of comparison. We feel that the entirety of this project is geared for that street level activation, to have the pedestrian, outdoor dining, everything on the city block that we're standing on right now. Combine that with those outdoor plazas, and we really hope to create a fantastic heart for the city. Our team strongly believes that this project will improve the capacity of the city government, having them, other than public works, all in one building, new construction, energy efficiency, all the savings that come with that. But we also believe that on the outside and the economic development of having all of the extra commercial and retail and grocery uses on this parcel will be a significant benefit for the entirety of the city. We very much look forward to this partnership, and thank you for your consideration. Any questions?
Let's go to citizen comments first, and we'll
Yes,
come back
sir.
to you. This time we're from any citizens on this item. Please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name's Karen.
Go ahead and pull it down.
My
There you
name's Karen Sweet. I live at 60 East Caldwell. And was just made aware today of what's happening here. And it's very disheartening for me as a resident. I feel that there's enough restaurants. I think it's great for the city to be able to be so cost effective in what they're going to be doing to build the new building for the benefit of the city. I think is excellent. And I think it's great that they want to improve and make a better downtown for the city. I think that's also great. But as a resident, I find that the traffic's very bad. And I'm very concerned with the amount of people that they're talking of putting in that small area of 8 acres, of putting over 245 units. So that would mean, assuming, I think the average unit would have more than 1 automobile. I think the average residents consider to have 2 automobiles. That I think that's going to significantly increase the traffic flow. And I find difficulty in getting out. As you said, making a left-hand turn is a nightmare for the people that live at East Juliet and on East Hill Street. And I think it's just going to make it significantly worse for the residents that live here. And it's very disheartening to me to think that this is going to happen to our beloved homes in the area there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My name is Skip Nipper. My wife Sheila and I live at 23 4th Avenue. And our family owns property at 2396 North Mount Juliet Road, right across the street. Not necessarily opposed to the plan, but I have, like she did, a concern for the traffic One of the problems with people coming in and out of our property, we own Nippers Embroidery and Sisters Whimsy has a gift shop there. When you come out of our property, you can hardly get out if people are going south because there's so much traffic. And 45 miles an hour is pretty good, but not when you have a site, when people are coming from like the post office down our way. You can't judge their you cannot judge the speed. You just can't do it. And I'm wondering about 800 cars, where they're going to get in and out. I haven't looked at the plan, except what I saw maybe a month ago, not recently, but I don't know how people are going to get in and out of this property. I think it's a wonderful thing to grow downtown Mount Juliet. God picked us up 11 years ago and set us in the middle of Mount Juliet, and we've loved it. We love our city. We're grateful for the work that you do. But I just have that concern, and I hope you'll take that to heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Will Naylor, and personal address is 209 Kings Road, 37122. I live in the UGB, and my wife and I own the property at 45 East Caldwell, and directly across the street from the development. And I came, back. This is December through March. We were taking care of some things in the UGB on our side. I'm a county resident, but I'm a city resident at the same time, kind of mixed in between everything. And my whole premise the whole time has been right place, right time, right moment, right situation. Okay. This is the right situation. This is the right time. This is the right place. And the empathetic and sympathetic side of me of living in the county and fighting development and fighting growth, that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing to swallow. And so I would just say the empathetic side of me says, I get it. The reality is I love Mount Juliet. I love being here. And I've always said too, in a few meetings, let's get it right and let's do it right and let's do it well. So I'm not opposed to any of this. I'm for it personally. The traffic, yes, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be a problem. But I know we've been able to take care of some of those things and remedy some of those things. I mean, talk to me. I have to drive down Nonneville every day, but at least we got the lanes widened. At least we got another turn lane in. Those things are going to happen. I'd like to see those put in front of a project instead of after the fact. But I know that will eventually come to East Caldwell in those situations. So I know there's going to be a light there eventually at some point in time. But growth is a neat thing for the city. Let's just get it right the first time. And as a citizen who lives in the county but owns property in the city, I'm okay with it. I'm for it. I just wanted to sit here and listen tonight. I know we got a couple more BLC readings. I know there's a lot of work. This is a big project. And I just want to say I'm good with it. I'm okay with it. My wife and I would love to build her business and create what we have dreamed at 45 East Caldwell. And this is a good part of that dream. It's a big part of that dream. So we're for it. We're positive. And I appreciate what you guys do. Right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Seeing no more citizen comments. Well, please do. Please do. Come on up.
So I'm Amy Brewer Breedlove. I know Mr. Searcy, played ball with his kids growing up. No, y'all don't care about that. My address is 1627 Eagle Trace Drive. And I run MJ for Hope. So we're taking all the donations. Just the traffic concern. I would love to see what's going to happen there. People can't get up. We all can't get to Providence. So that's what's going to happen? I mean, where do you widen the road? So I'm just concerned about, she had no idea this was going on here. And she's lived here a long time. So that's what hurts my heart. That's the only reason I'm speaking. I know Mark and I want us to grow, but I just want to do it the right way. That main road's not ready. not for something this big. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any more citizen comments? Yep, come on up.
I'm Richie Vaughn. I live at 3288 Sunnersville Ferry. My mother-in-law owns Martech. And as I read this, there's going to be an extra lane and a sidewalk, right, on East Hill. Concerned about exactly how that'll go through there. Will the sidewalk be on the proposed property side? Is there anything going to be on the East Hill side that you take for that extra lane and the sidewalk? The parking lot's not that huge there. So I just wondered specifically where that would be.
You good?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sure we've got some questions as well. Okay. Any clarifications or follow-up from planning or saying? Okay. Comments from the planning commission? I'll start off. This is a good development. I like it on the front end. There's some things I don't like. But I do have some questions for the applicant if we come up. I know this is all early, but I just want to get some things out in the open. Is there a plan for on-street parking on Hill or on Caldwell?
I don't believe we're planning on parking on either Hill or Caldwell. We're planning on internal street parking.
Okay.
Unless my civil engineer. I think we have parallel spaces along both sides of them. Excuse me. Look, my design team knows better than I do, but those will be inside obviously our property lines.
Okay.
The idea, especially on the Caldwell side, is I know there's a lot of short-term parking here for City Hall. People come in, pay bills, drop stuff off, and you want to have, they don't need to have to deal with the parking garage and all that stuff. So that was the primary focus. And it always helps to buffer the street to pedestrians on sidewalks too.
Okay. Nothing, just for point of clarification. There is ingress and egress to both streets, Hill and Caldwell,
Correct, but not Mount Juliet Road.
Okay.
And there's the middle of the parcel, kind of with the commercial on the east side and the multifamily on the opposite. The commercial on the west side and the multifamily on the east. We are planning on a drive through the center of the project, north-south, to connect the two so that folks can better access both sides of that. But yes.
So with the development, you're actually taking an access off of Mount Juliet Road?
Yes, sir.
For what we got. Okay.
Or two. I think there might be two there today. Yeah.
No city museum. I certainly want other folks within the city to address that. Is there a plan to relocate that or do something different with that?
We have not heard anything from the BOC what their plans are regarding that. We know that there is, we've talked a lot about, obviously the city halls can be contained within the parcel. There's opportunities for that city museum to be within City Hall or to be separate. Part of if this were to pass and to pass BOC, the first big step is then to design City Hall and to understand how the museum would fit into that or be relocated. And so that's kind of that's step one after we get the zoning in place to be able to move forward.
Okay. I told you I was going to give you a rough time.
No. Well, and the other, that parcel, part of the many evolutions and I'm dozens of site plans, as I know you guys know, has been whether or not that parcel would even be included or not. So I think the latest and greatest, as you see, is that parcel is included and to be redeveloped. But we remain, as you can see, it is not fully core to the project. It is, I won't say it's peripheral, but it is not mission critical to what we're doing. And so if the city decides and the BOC decides it's best to leave that as it is, we understand that.
Okay.
Versus some of the other parcels that are core.
My final comment is that this is or will become our downtown City Hall. And I'll use a strong term here. It's going to be buried behind 2 and 3 story structures. And I don't know what that says about Mount Juliet, but being a citizen, I would like to be very proud of our brand new city hall and
Yes,
drive by and go, yeah, that's where I live. That's where everybody goes. Folks from out of town, developers like yourself that come in, you know where City Hall is
Absolutely.
without having to look for it on Google and go around the neighborhood 3 or 4 times. And this is my personal opinion, but I'd like to see a more prominent location for City Hall.
And that's a fair concern. And in fact, our BOC working session on May the 8th had basically 2 different site plans and 2 different elevations. And it looked at buildings 3 and 4, which was the southwest corner and then the City Hall parcel. And one had City Hall where we show it now, and one had City Hall further in. And the consensus was with the BOC that, and a lot of it had to do with parking, the way the site grades work, it was going to work better to keep City Hall fully separate from a fee simple land boundary and parking standpoint to keep it where it was. And the BOC was generally preferred that the parcel going in. It is taller, especially as you look at the plate heights of City Hall, that you will see City Hall over those buildings as you come north and south on North Mount Juliet Road. So I think from the city standpoint, and as we look at land values and the land transaction that goes between, the land that the development team and the land that the city owned today, I think the idea was let the more valuable North Mount Juliet Road land be the private and let City Hall do. But that exact point was the entire, there was an update portion of it, but the big question we posed to the BOC in the May 8th meeting was, do you want City Hall in the corner, or do you want it behind a lower building? So I
understand retail behind City Hall probably won't live very long.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments from the planning commission? Go ahead.
Matt, and you said building 1 is going to be the possible grocery store.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there enough parking there in B to accommodate City Hall plus the traffic that a grocery store would bring?
Yes, ma'am, it is. And when we are talking about a grocery store, we're not talking Publix, Kroger, Albertsons. We're in discussions, obviously, with building City Hall, designing City Hall, then building City Hall, and then going the second. We're pretty far out, but we have been in conversations with what we'll call a boutique grocery store. And in addition to the grocery items, they also have coffee shop, sandwich shop. And one reason we're specifically excited about this group or somebody very similar to them is when you think of your standard grocery store and you think of what the outside of the grocery store looks like, they've got the coolers, they've got the deli counter on those exterior walls. So they're blank. There's no windows, there's no street level activation. And so when we look at the groups we're talking to, it's the reverse, because what we want and what we think is vitally important, no matter for this project, is to keep that street level activation. So when you're walking by, you're looking at the coffee shop, you're seeing the traffic, it's inviting and you want to walk in. So the grocery store user we're looking at is significantly smaller. It's kind of more size-wise, the old H.G. Hill stores that were in Middle Tennessee 30 years ago. It's kind of more of that size of a space that then has, as part of that floor plate, the coffee shop and the sandwich. So the true grocery aspect, it's not a supermarket. But when we did our parking study, we were fully transparent with the engineer who did that study to say, this is who it is, or someone similar there. This amount of it is planned to be true grocery. This is probably going to be, more of a restaurant aspect of that. And we all know, you go in, you get a coffee, you walk around. Some people may come in, just get the coffee. There's a whole bunch of different ways that space gets used practically. And one of the reasons we went to a specific engineer as opposed to trying to do it ourselves is they know all that better than we do. So to answer your question in a very long-winded fashion, yes, we did. The traffic engineer did take that grocery use. But I wanted to put a little more color in it to know that we're not talking about smacking Albertsons right here or, something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, Larry.
My question is, how much property does the city own other than City Hall, the Town Hall Building number 4? How much of the other property will they have access to?
From a legal ownership, the city, post-development, the city will just own Building 4. So
It's on Building 4?
Yes, sir.
How much property did the city have before? much is it
Right
giving
now,
up?
it has about half the frontage on North Mount Juliet Road, and then all the parcels on East Hill Street are currently owned by the city, as well as the parcel where Building 7 is. And then the southwest corner of at North Mount Juliet Road and Caldwell, there's a small parcel that the city owns now. Yeah, and thank you, Mark. We are planning to purchase those from the city. So that's part of the financial transaction is the development entity would purchase that land from the city as part of the project.
So have y'all agreed on a price yet?
No, sir, we have not.
Did somebody
You good? You good? Do have 2 points I'm going to bring up. One relates to you and one is separate from that. Just for the record, we did receive a letter today about several issues that we brought up today about the parking and the traffic, et cetera. So we do have that. So it's on the record. One thing I do want to point out is we have 5 commissioners sitting up here. And you need a minimum of 4 to move forward. And if you're okay with that, we'll continue to move forward, or I'll give you the option to defer.
I think we're ready to move forward. Looking at my partner. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Oh, hold on, Preston. Go ahead.
So what are y'all viewing as the main entrance and exit? I see that there's a couple out there, but we're all creatures of habit. We all go the same way most of the time. So what are you viewing more traffic hitting Caldwell or Hill?
We are viewing most of the traffic. I think it will depend on the traffic. I think your short-term users, someone running in somewhere quickly, will probably come in off Caldwell. I apologize. Most of the short-term traffic will utilize the surface parking lot and come in off Hill. The folks who work in the offices, the city hall, majority of the city hall folks who are coming in for meaningful business, all the employees will come in off Caldwell. So I would say the majority of the office and retail users will likely come in off of Caldwell. I think most of the multifamily residents will come in off Hill. I'm saying that not remembering the exact specifics of what our traffic study said, though I believe it was included in the packet, and it was 145 pages. So I might look at Matt, who's better with traffic at me than I am anyway. So
yeah, the traffic study showed about half and half, 50% going to Caldwell, 50% going to East Hill. However, it's projected that a traffic signal will be warranted at East Hill. If a traffic signal is installed, that'll draw more folks to East Hill, especially for left turns out, to have that safe left turn in and out.
And that was a primary driver for the main drive aisle, north-south through the middle, is so that if you're going right and you're already on the Caldwell side, you can do that. But if you are turning left, you could utilize that to get to the light.
Okay. Gino.
I don't want to get in the way of any other comments if everyone else is through. I just want to comment briefly on Commissioner Hefner's recusal. When his parcel was originally in the PUD application, that would be a conflict of interest because he would stand to benefit personally and financially from that. One other issue has been some discussion that he benefited from private discussions prior to buying that property. I was advised today that that property was not purchased until by Commissioner Hefner until 3 months ago. And that's months after this has been publicized. So he was under no obligation to do anything. He's been transparent throughout this, saying that he had the property. He recused himself tonight to avoid even the appearance of impropriety, and I appreciated him doing that. There was no requirement that he recuse himself for tonight's discussions. Could have Kate here, could have voted not on a conflict of interest, but if it was a conflict of interest, there's an exception, sometimes known as a public forum, where you're voting on something that's going to benefit all the citizens of the city, similar to a tax rate increase. Just because you own property in the city, yes, you're lowering the tax rate. It's going to, quote, benefit you financially, but it's also going to benefit a lot of other people. Same thing with this project. It's not just going to benefit him like as if you're buying his property, but it's going to benefit or impact a lot of citizens. So anyway, I just want to add that.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Any more comments? No, go ahead.
I got one question. Are you building City Hall at no cost to the city?
We have, that's part of the conversations we've been having with the city. We were looking at, and part of the conversation that relates to the purchase price. And we are going to, that's kind of the next step after we get through this process is negotiating all that. What we have been talking to the city about is a small, is we have direct costs to do that. And so we're looking at a below market rate cost to do that work for the city, a substantially below market rate cost, but it wouldn't be zero is what we're proposing to the city. But that's part of the overall conversation with land price. And obviously would be fully publicly
Would you
disclosed.
commit to building it for nothing?
I'm sorry?
Would you commit to building the City Hall for nothing?
No,
You're getting
sir.
a lot here.
Well, I would commit to building City Hall for nothing based on if the value of the land was below market
Oh, that's out
also.
of sight, man.
I'm sorry?
Land is out of sight here.
Yes, sir, it is.
All right.
Yes, sir, it is. So without one, I don't want to commit to one without the other. I think it's benefit to everybody to negotiate those as part of the package.
The BOC will have their chance to take their stabs at it too. Okay. It's been lively. Any more comments? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion for a positive recommendation to the BOC based on the conditions that we received. Second. All in favor of positive recommendation, raise your hand. Signify by saying aye. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. We got one last item on the agenda, one of my favorite ones. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? You got a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.